it is Andrew Michael and welcome to today's video. Now in today's video we're going to do something different. Today I decided I'm going to do a top 10 Power Rangers Morphers list where I give you my personal opinions on my top 10 Power Ranger Morphers from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers all the way to current today with Power Rangers Beast Morphers. And so, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss a single video. With that being said, let's get into my personal top 10 Power Ranger Morphers. So like I said, there's going to be a top 10 for the Power Ranger Morphers I'm going to do today. And I've also included 3 honorable mentions, which I will talk about later on in the video. Speaking of number 10. So number 10, we have the Ninja Steel Morphers. Now, I know Ninja Steel was not the greatest season. It wasn't. But I just want to say, in terms of the Morphers themselves, I still think the way they did the Morphers, especially when they did it in Japan, the way they had the star, the way you can like take the star, put it on there and you like spin it, and also with the Gold Ranger had the guitar and he had the Morpher, he had the star there as well to put on the guitar. I thought that was really neat, even though like I said, it wasn't the greatest season, but if you exclude the badness of this season, if you will, then I still think it is still a fantastic way they do their Morphers. And the Morpher they had itself, I know the American one was really just not well made, but in Japan it was actually really well made. So I will say that's why I'm giving Ninja Steel the 10th position. Coming in at number 9, we have the Ninja Storm Ranger. So the reason why I like the Ninja Storm Morpher, but it's not as high as the other ones, is because of the fact that yes, each Morpher has its own little coin, and when you put it on there for the Wind Rangers, obviously you can spin the coin. It has 3 little buttons on it. For the Thunder Ranger, it has something a little bit different. They have these things you put on top of there, so that way you have something different. And then with the Samurai Morpher, it's a ball and you press it and it lights up and whatnot. I thought the Ninja Storm Morphers were actually really cool. But I think in terms of everything else on the list, it's kind of more basic, if you will, but it's not too basic like we would see something with Lightspeed Rescue, where every time you flip it up and you have the 4 buttons. At least with Ninja Storm, you have the coins that you can put on there, including the Green Samurai Morpher, where you have the ball and it lights up like that. Coming in at number 8, we have the Beast Morphers Ranger Morpher. Now, for those who have not watched Beast Morphers yet, basically the Morpher is a wrist Morpher where they take their individual keys and put that in there, they twist it, and that's what makes them morph up, if you will. The Silver and Gold Ranger, they have this gun kind of thing where when you shoot it, it has a little spinny thing just like with Beast Morphers, and that's how they morph up. Now, I'm not too sure how they're going to do the Green Ranger if we ever get one, but I just like the fact that the way they did the keys and the way that they have, even Roxy and Blaze, when they have their Morphers, what they do is they have the little key thing, they put that in there, and that's also how they morph up. So I do like the fact that they put in that kind of focus in terms of, well, since they're avatars of the good Rangers, why can't they also have Morphers as well, where they use the keys? And overall, I just like the way they did this. Like, it gives me vibes of Power Rangers Turbo, because they also had it where they have a key, and you put that in there, and that's how that morphs up. I just like the way they did that overall. So coming in at number 7, we have SPD with the phone. Now, the reason why I moved it up to number 7 ahead of something like Beast Morphers and Ninja Storm is because of the Omega Rangers Morph. Now, the phone themselves really aren't too fancy. They have 3 buttons, and then they have a thing in their show where either someone was innocent or guilty, so when you flip down the phone, it would have an X or it would have a 0 there, or I guess an O right there, to say whether someone was innocent or guilty. Whereas with the Omega Ranger, he had a wrist morpher as well, but it looked like a motorbike, and when you revved it up, that was how you morphed up with that. That I thought was actually really cool, and that's why I made it number 7 instead of something like number 10, because with SPD, the Omega Ranger Morpher, I thought was really cool. So we get to number 6, and it is the Super Megaforce Morpher. Now, like I said about Ninja Steel, even though Super Megaforce really wasn't that spectacular of a season, the Morphers themselves were actually really cool. Like, every season we had from Mighty Morphin all the way up to Samurai, we had the keys for even, and yes, we had Megaforce and Super Megaforce, where all the Rangers got to morph up into different seasons of Power Rangers. And they also had it sometimes where they had like seasons before Zoo Ranger. What I would have liked for them to have done is for the Rangers they showed in the show, like the pre-Zoo Ranger seasons, I kind of wish they had done a pack of those keys as well. Like, maybe not all of them, obviously, but something like 7 or 8 keys, so that way you can have a couple of keys from the pre-Zoo Ranger keys if that was what they were doing in the show. The way they did the keys I thought was incredible. And when you go over to Gokaiger, the way they did theirs as well was fantastic as well. I just really liked the gimmick of having these individual Rangers, each one having a key, you put it in there and you can transform into that Ranger. I thought that was actually really cool. Coming in at number 5, we have Zeo. So Zeo's Morpher was a 2-part kind of thing. It was both a wrist thing, and you had one thing here where you had the Zeonizer, the other being the Zeo Crystal. You put it together, and that's how you morphed up as the Zeo Rangers. And then with the Gold Ranger, he had the staff, and when he had it, the staff popped open, and that was how the Gold Ranger morphed. Overall, I really liked the way they did these Morphers. Like, it's such an iconic season. And I think the reason Zeo stuck around along with MMPR was because Zeo felt like an extension of MMPR, but they were doing something different. Like, instead of having the belt buckle with the Morpher like MMPR, we had the 2 wrist Morphers, and that was how the Rangers morphed up with that. And it was simple, but it had a lot of nice features to it, and that's why I really liked the Morpher from Zeo. Coming in at number 4, we have the Dino Charge Morpher. Again, another Neo Saban season gets in here. Now, why I say that is because I really like what they did with the Morpher. Even in Q Ranger, you have the gun. Every time you put in a Dino Charger, or I guess a Dino Gem, you put that in the Morpher, you spin it, and that's how you morphed up. What also helped is that they also was selling these Dino Chargers that did different abilities. They had different dinosaurs, they had different colors and whatnot. I think the level of detail they put in the Dino Charge Morpher could have been something we could have seen with something like Ninja Steel, where they could have made big enough Dino Chargers like they did in Q Ranger. Had they done something like that, I think Ninja Steel would have done better in toys. But I think in terms of the Dino Charger, I think it's by far one of the best Morphers from the Neo Saban season, and behind that is the Super Megaforce Morpher. Coming in at number 3, we have the Jungle Fury Morphers. Now, you're probably saying, Andrew, it's sunglasses. Why are sunglasses ahead of something like a cell phone or a wrist Morpher? Well, we get to the Purple Ranger, the Wolf Ranger. He has something like a wrist Morpher where you ring the bell and that's all it does. But what also intrigues me is the Rhino Rangers Morpher. Now, it is so different than everything else you've seen. We've seen wrist Morphers, we've seen phone Morphers. But this one is literally, you put your hand on this little blade thingy, and that's how you morphed up into the Rhino Ranger. And just the way they did this, just the way that they designed it, where the Rhino Ranger had this huge thing on his hand, and that was how he morphed up. I really like that, honestly. Like, it's, like I said, it's so different than what we had seen with the wrist and the cell phone Morphers. Coming in at number 2, we have the In-Space Ranger Morpher. And so, with In-Space, overall, even the season itself, the way they had the Morphin' Up sequence with the 3-3-5 with the wrist Morpher, and with the Silver Ranger, he had the Mega Morpher, where you just type in M-E-G-A, go. I really like the level of detail they had with that in a season like In-Space. In-Space and overall was a really good season, but in terms of the Morpher, I also think it was done really well. And we also saw something like the Battleizer as well with the Red Ranger, where he became a beefed up version of himself, and it gave him more power. And I really like the fact they had like this keyboard, cell phone kind of thingy tied into a wrist morpher as well. That in a season like In Space, they put in that much level of detail. And I really think that In Space is one of the best morphers out there. But we haven't got to number 1. Now, before we get to number 1, the 3 honorable mentions I have are Megaforce, Alien, RPM. Now, for number 1. My number 1 Power Ranger Morpher, in my opinion, is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Now, this is almost no surprise, as the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger Morpher is by far the most iconic morpher out of every Power Ranger season. It's the one where if you tell a friend that you watch Power Rangers, they say, oh, I remember the morpher they have in Power Rangers, which was the belt buckler. And then with the Green Ranger, obviously, he had his own little coin. And the White Ranger, he had his own little coin. The way they did this morpher, and the way that they have been doing many ways of doing the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger Morpher, I just really like the belt buckler. We haven't seen much of this at all except from Kamen Rider, because they still use the belts to this day. But Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, when you think about Power Rangers, you still think about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and the morpher that comes with it. And the coins that come with it, depending on what morpher you got, I still think that the morpher in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was so unique. And even it says Power Rangers on it. And that's why I think that the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger Morpher is probably the best morpher that's out there. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you leave a like. And until next time, I'm Andrew Michael, and I will see you guys in the next video. Make sure to subscribe and comment and tell me, what is your favorite morpher from Power Rangers? Thumbs up.